Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for this session called Collaboration and Reward in the West Midlands. Before we start in earnest, I just wanted to give a shout out to anyone who is from the West Midlands who's on the call. Put your names in the chat, give us a wave, just so that we know that we've got some local support in the background. That would be great. See some thumbs up, brilliant. My name is Carol Glenn, and I'm the Social Value Programme Manager at Solihull Council, and I'm the outgoing chair of the West Midlands Social Value Network for the public sector. So chairing this session to celebrate all things around social value in the West Midlands will be a great way to end my tenure as chair of that group. The West Midlands Network is a public sector group that allows colleagues from across the public sector, including local authorities, NHS, fire, police, education establishments and housing associations, to talk about all things social value in a place without judgment. I have had the privilege of being the chair of that group for the last 5 years or so. And I don't use that word privilege lightly, because being involved and being chair of that group has opened so many doors for me, and I've met so many fantastic people that are doing wonderful things around the West Midlands, delivering social value. Some of those fantastic people are with me here today, and this session is giving us the opportunity to shout about some wonderful initiatives that have been progressing over the last 12 months in the region, and is a great follow-up to the session that we did last year at this conference on the West Midlands. So I have with me today Jared Freeman from Lichfield District Council, Nadia Davies from Solihull College, Hannah Denny from Volunteer It Yourself, and Andy Clayton from Morgan Sindall. You will hear, what you're about to hear is four very different stories that approach collaboration and reward in completely different ways, but all of them are already reaping the benefits that comes from such innovative projects. So I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, so let's get straight down to it. We'll go to each presenter in turn, and then we should have about 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions that the audience has. So make sure you put your questions in the Q&A. So first of all, I'm going to pass over to Jared, who will tell you all about what he has been up to in lovely Lichfield.
Hello, everyone. So as Carol says, I am the social value lead for Lichfield District Council, and it's a role that I started back in March of 2024, so I've not been in it too long. It was new for the council at the time, and social value was totally new for me. It's an expression I had to Google when I applied for the job, as I'm sure you're familiar with. So it's something that I've come into as a totally new role, and I've had to develop it, evolve it over time. But when I started in the role, the West Midlands Social Value Network was so helpful to me. It obviously enabled me to meet other professionals in the social value field, so that I could start networking with them, get ideas for how they've developed social value, but also just in terms of understanding social value, keeping up to date with developments on it. It's been a fantastic group for me, something that I've been really happy to be a part of. And so, having stepped into the world of social value, there's some obstacles that I needed to think about how we could overcome them. The main one being, what is social value? As I said, I had to Google it when I was applying for the role myself. And when I talk to friends and family about what I do for work, many of them will say social value. What is that? You probably have encountered that yourself. Even colleagues within the council perhaps don't know what it is. It's something that I've had to try and educate them on over time. So a few things that I worked on to try and come up with a strategy for this, to rectify this issue. The first one was that I created a social value steering group within Lichfield Council. So if we can have our slide, we just see that within our district council, we got colleagues from all different departments, and through the social value steering group, I can talk about what social value is, keep them up to date on developments, But more importantly, it's an opportunity for us to work together to shape social value locally and the offer that we're giving. By the way, the social value lead for me in the public sector is myself and Carol are amongst a rare breed of people that have social value in their actual job title within the public sector. So it's something that's becoming more common as time goes on. Like I say, it was new for Lichfield, but hopefully we can see that the benefits of having a dedicated role are well worth it. So a second project that I worked on is that earlier this year, myself and my manager decided it was time for us to try and brand our social value locally. So if we can go on to our next slide, this is the concept that we eventually settled on. So I just want to talk you through how we got there. First of all, the name of the brand. What were we going to call it? Well, we spent some time thinking about it and possibilities, and we had to ask ourselves, well, how do you easily summarize social value within just a few words? And we came up with some concepts. I'll admit I used ChatGPT as well to help me come up with some ideas. But then actually, it was thinking back to last year's social value conference that really helped me. We did a word cloud exercise at the time, and we were asked to come up with just words that summarize social value for us, and community was the word most often associated with it. So, okay, we've got community. Well, what does social value do for our community? Well, obviously, it helps us to achieve things together. So that's where our community can was born. Along the bottom, we've got a few phrases there. Our community can connect, inspire, thrive. But easily, you can swap these out. So our community can train, for example. It can innovate. It can build. So this was something that I ran by our steering group, and all of them loved it. They said it was a simple way of identifying what social value is locally. So then the next stage was to come up with the logo. As you can see there, there's our logo. And I worked with our comms team locally to do it. And they came up with a great concept for us, showing that social value is at the heart of the community. So that's what we came up with. Now, alongside that branding, we also wanted to completely have a makeover on our website, completely redo it. So that brings us to our next slide, because something else that we made is our community wishing well, which is on our website. One of the challenges that I was finding is that suppliers were struggling to know what social value they should offer to us as part of their tender. So through the wishing well, it might be a VCSE, it could be a local company or other departments within the council. They can all come to us with a wish, if you like, a request for some sort of support. And if the steering group decides that, yes, it aligns with our values, that request will get added to the wishing well. And because it's published on our website, when suppliers are creating their tenders, they can review the wishing well and choose the offer that matches their values. And it's had some really nice success, this. Just recently, for example, we've secured 8 adaptive bikes for use locally. Adaptive bikes are able to be used by people with disabilities or injuries. And we've got some beautiful parks in Lichfield, so we wanted to make sure that they could get about on these adaptive bikes, see the sights. And they're not cheap, unfortunately, adaptive bikes, but we've had offers to secure at least 8. One's on the way soon, and the other 7 will very shortly be following. So it's been a nice project to have that community wishing well up and running. But just a final thought, where am I up to now? Well, if we can have our last slide, please. Carol mentioned the West Midlands Social Value Network. Just recently, I was appointed as the new chair of it. So I'm going to be taking over from Carol, who I'm sure many of you will agree has done an amazing job over the years. It's big shoes to fill. But it's nice that I can now try and give back to the group that helped me so much in the first place. So if you are in the public sector in the West Midlands, please drop me a message. I've put my email address on there. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to join so that you can share ideas as well, collaborate with us. so that we can answer questions when they arise, and just so that we can really support each other. So that's enough from me, from Lichfield. I'll hand you back to Carol.
Thanks, Jared. That project just goes to show how much giving social value a branding, what it means that people can get behind it and bring all elements of it together for a cohesive approach. And one point that struck a chord in the chat was that social value experts are very often the only person in their organisation that do and understand social value. So events like this conference are so important at being a great way of getting other people to together that understand what on earth you're talking about every day. So, and I'm also really chuffed to be stepping down from the chair and handing over to Jared's safe hands. And I want to formally wish him all the best in the role as chair. Thank you for taking over. Okay, so next you're going to hear from Nadia from Solihull College. I'll pass over to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Carol. Hi, everyone. And first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. I'm really excited to be here to talk to you about our brand new social value recognition scheme. Can you see my slides? Aha, there we go, as if by magic. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Solihull College and University Centre. And ultimately, the purpose of our organisation is to make sure that our students, regardless of age, have the skills that they need to be successful in the workplace. And of course, in order for us to do that, we have to work really, really closely with employers and with industry to have a really, really good understanding of what those skills are. They've always changed rapidly, but now more than ever. So as well as developing our young people straight out of school, we also develop people throughout their careers to upskill and reskill. And it's largely thanks to the partnerships that we have with our employers that enable us to do that well. So this brings us into the purpose really of the Social Value Excellence Recognition Scheme, which we launched in May this year. And this is a way to really reward businesses for giving us the time and the commitment, the enthusiasm and the interest that they do year after year to create meaningful experiences for our students. So what I'm going to do today is talk you through the scheme and how it works. And I'll be concluding with sharing some of the success of some of the first businesses that have already gone on to achieve our Silver Value Award in Social Value Excellence, and we now also have a couple of Gold Award winners as well. So far, this has been really, really successful, and it's just really lovely for us to be able to inspire businesses to do more with us. We really, really rely on this engagement to bring to life all of the things that we teach people about, and then for us to be able to say thank you and to give something tangible back. We recognise that quite often many people who work so hard on their social value will benefit from being able to demonstrate that at times, for example, of bidding for public sector contracts, amongst other things. And this is hopefully something tangible that those businesses can now use to say, year after year, we've been awarded the bronze, silver or gold badges. And it's just, as I say, a really, really nice way of us being able to give back. So if we can move on to the next slide. Thank you very much. And this gives you an indication here about how the scheme works. So each of the awards is based on an employer earning a set number of points within a 12-month calendar year from their first point of engagement. So this is a rolling scheme that's ongoing. And there are 5 different tiers for type of activity. As I move through the slides in a minute, you'll see what that menu looks like. But everything in tier 1 is what we would consider to be high impact and high commitment activity. So one example of that would be to either support an existing member of staff through an apprenticeship programme or to hire an apprentice in your organisation. Another example might be to support inclusive work practices to support people with additional needs into employment. So we recognise that that type of activity leads to high impact, but it also takes a lot of commitment from employers as well. So everything in that category gets you 5 points. Everything in tier 2 is what we would consider to be medium engagement. And again, you'll see some examples of that in a moment. Tier 3 is lighter touch, one-off engagement. So still really, really important type of work, but less commitment. So an example of that might be offering up a tour of a factory, for example, to some students. So it's not going to take you much time, but it's really, really valuable for the students that get to have that experience. Tier 4, we've classed these as unique contributions. It would be really, really selfish if we as a college only recognised activity that employers do with us, because there are so many other wonderful things that businesses are doing, and we want to be able to celebrate that and recognise that as part of this scheme. So, for example, the types of things that we recognise here might be where you've made a commitment to support a charity of the year. A recent example from one of the gold winners was that they did a number of employees did an ab sale for a local children's hospital and those types of things. So anything where you're doing good, adding social value outside of the relationship with the college, those types of activities earn you points. And the last tier, tier 5, is all about upskilling your existing workforce. And of course, in doing so, helping people to remain employed, helping people to fulfill their career goals, and helping businesses to retain the skills that they need to be successful. And points in that category work on a proportionate basis to make sure that the scheme is fair for small businesses and large businesses. And the number of points needed, as you can see on the right hand side of this slide, so 10 to 14 points for bronze, 15 to 24 points for silver, and 25 plus for gold. And just as a heads up, we've been asked for a platinum badge to be added next year, so it's already starting to get quite competitive. If I could have the next slide, please. Thank you. This is the first page of what I've now started to call a menu of ways to engage. And hopefully this in itself is quite helpful to inspire businesses about ways that they can work with colleges. Lots of businesses, you know, you may just think of us of classrooms full of 16 to 19-year-olds, of which we have loads of, but there's loads and loads of ways that you can engage. And it's not all about us being selfish and wanting help from you. Hopefully you can see from some of these things here how working with colleges can also open doors to you finding future talent, and just giving back, really. So that's everything in tier 1, and some ideas of things in tier 2, which are 3 points. So come in and deliver a guest lecture in your area of expertise. That's so valuable for students. It really brings it to life. It makes it memorable, and it's the real world. We want to bring the real world into college to really prepare our students as best we can. And we do fun stuff as well, like competitions. And we have lots of employers that say, well, we'd come in for a day and we'll set a competition, and you know, we'll make it fun, we'll develop skills, but at the same time we'll have some competitive challenge, we'll give prizes, and all that sort of stuff is fab. Next slide, please. This is the second half of the menu. So you can see here some of the activities in tier 3, unique contributions, and tier 5, which is about upskilling your existing workforce. And just a bit of a note on here about the diversity of engagement. Of course, the whole point of this is to encourage and recognise meaningful social value impact. So we've put some rules around diversity of engagement to make sure that that happens. Therefore, we can't have a large employer come forward who wins gold by having 5 apprentices that they were going to have anyway. So there's a number of rules that are associated with the scheme, which are no more than 10 points from one activity type. And in order to get silver or gold, points must be accrued by at least 3 different types of activity. And if we can move on, let's look at some of the great stuff. So these were our first 3 silver winners. So now what's really interesting here is that none of these three are from the construction industry, where we know that social value isn't a new word. It's something that's around every day, and they do it really, really well. This is three. The first example here. So the first cluster of stars at the top, this is a cybersecurity company that we work with, and those are the types of engagements that led to their points. So they bypassed the silver award. Bronze award, went straight to silver by having industry placement students. They did a superb keynote talk to all of our computing students. They were judges at our Apprenticeship Impact Awards, but they also support another local university, and they have some students from there. So we were able to recognise that commitment as a unique contribution. Then we had an early years provider who has apprenticeships with us. They support our employer advisory boards, and also helped us to do some marketing to try to inspire more young people to come into early years. And then we had a recruitment company, Per Temps, and they've done lots of things to support us, not least having the creation of a book for girls, primary school age girls, to encourage people to consider careers in engineering, followed by an opportunity for some of our students and a female member of staff to take part on a podcast as a bit of a follow-on piece. So that's just to show you how three organisations all achieved silver in a completely different way, but all three did it in a way that supported us and aligned with the needs of their business. And my last slide, please, is to celebrate more recently, our two gold social value winners. The first on the left-hand side is the NEC, who I'm sure even those of you that aren't from the Midlands have heard of. And they did a huge range of things to create opportunities for people. Local schools, our feeder schools, they deliver talks to. They're hosting amazing workplace visits. They support inclusive work-based initiatives on an ongoing basis, and they actually far exceeded the number of points required for gold. And then this is on the right hand side, this is particularly impressive. That there is Birmingham Dogs Home, and they also leapfrog straight to the gold award for all of the things that they do with us in education. They create the most incredible opportunities for our students. They take part in all of our careers events. They support inclusive work placements. There's absolutely loads and loads of things that they do, and I think that's so impressive that a charity has been able to go above and beyond their fundamental role of caring for dogs to do even more in the community that's enabled them to achieve this. So it was an absolute honour to be able to recognise that relationship and all of the way that they give back by awarding them the gold. So I hope that's given you a flavour of what we're doing to increase our employer engagement and the types of relationships that we have, and the opportunities that are out there for supporting your local college wherever you are in the country. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Nadia. I think this initiative is not about rewarding companies that tick boxes, and I've heard that mentioned a couple of times over the last couple of days. It is about collaborating with companies that want to do real good for the students of Solihull and Stratford-upon-Avon. What I have found interesting is that those first three companies that got the silver award were from sectors that are traditionally known for not being particularly mature in social value. So IT, the care sector and recruitment. As the public sector, we do find it difficult to get social value out of contracts with those types of contracts. And you know, a local anchor institution and a local VCSE getting the gold awards is just absolutely fantastic. There's just one little question in the chat, Nadia, which Amy has asked, what are the points for bronze, silver and gold? She didn't quite catch it. So could you just reiterate what the scoring is for bronze, silver and gold?
Yes, of course. And I should have pointed out as well that this is actually, the full details of the scheme are actually on our website under the employer section and social value excellence. But it was 10 to 14 points for bronze, 15 to 24 for silver, and 25 plus for gold. I probably should have also pointed out, sorry, that these are digital badges, and we send a pack out with a library of logos that can be added to website, LinkedIn pages, email signatures, etc., as well as a certificate. And we're also in the process of creating what we're going to call a wall of impact to celebrate all of these things, to inspire other employers to see how it can be done and how it helps everybody.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Right. I'm going to pass over to Hannah Denny from Volunteer It Yourself and to Andy Clayton from Morgan Sindall, who are going to tell you about a really exciting project that's coming up in the West Midlands.
Hi everyone, good afternoon, and again thanks for joining this session. It's really, really great to be here. I'm Hannah Denny, so Comms and Partnerships Director here at Volunteer It Yourself, or VIY. For those of you who aren't familiar with VIY, I'm going to give you a little intro in this session, and then my lovely double act Andy will talk about our collaboration both in the West Midlands but also the East Midlands and across the country as well. So hopefully you're going to get a real flavour for what we do here. Whilst VIY are a national organisation, I am a West Midlands girl, so the West Midlands is really close to my heart. I'm from Coventry originally, but I've been an honorary Brummie since 2016, so very familiar with what's going on in this region for both for VIY, but also from a kind of wider social value perspective and wider kind of, political, social perspective in that sense. First slide, please. Brilliant, you can go on to the next one, that's fine. So I think my role here in partnerships and communications at VIY is really kind of symptomatic of the whole of the conference. It's a real great privilege to be able to look after both of these roles here at VIY, not just at VIY, but in the kind of social value sector. I think comms and partnerships goes hand in hand. This co-creation has been a big talking point across the sector, collaboration, and that's exactly what we're all about. I don't think my slides are formatting quite right. Could somebody zoom out on those a little bit? Is that possible? Or are they formatted in there already? If not, it's absolutely fine. I'm very used to delivering what we're doing. So yeah, VIY, we are a national social enterprise, and essentially what we do is we help young people learn construction skills whilst we renovate community spaces at the same time. So we typically work with NEET and at-risk young people. So those young people who are furthest from the job market, may be excluded from education, mainstream education and training, could be unemployed. Probably lots of you in this chat right now are familiar with those cohorts of young people. They are mentored by professional tradespeople, our trade mentors, on our community projects. They have the chance to gain entry-level City and Guilds and NOCN qualifications on our projects, all whilst we renovate really valuable community spaces at the same time. If you can move on to the next slide, please. So yeah, hopefully you can see part of all of that. As I said, we are a national organisation, but we adopt a regional approach to deliver hyper-local social impact. So as you can probably see on the right-hand side, easier than the left-hand side, if you can see the screen that I can see. We've established delivery hub regions all across the UK, and that is expanding as we speak. And the West Midlands has always been one of those really strong impact delivery regions. So we deliver a hell of a lot of work across the West Midlands. But as I said, we're expanding our model all of the time. If you can go on to the next slide, please. And as I mentioned, my obviously role covers partnerships. So we work on a partnership model, a cross-sector place-based partnership model. So that is really all about delivering social value in partnership with a huge range of cross-sector partners. And this is just a snippet of those on the right-hand side. So we work with around 30 local authorities and councils across the country through various different funds. That could be the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, retrofit and green skills work, social value funds that they may have, alongside a lot of other cross-sector partners. So we work on kind of a match funding model in that one partner may not fund an entire project, but we may bring together lots of different partners that all want to deliver social value essentially in the community and for young people. So again, you can see the list there and the examples in the slide. So anything from local authorities to construction trade partners, which we'll obviously talk about with Morgan Sindall here, trade sector partners, local police funds. They really love our intervention for young people, working with at-risk young people, those who might be involved in or at risk of crime, and helping to renovate and develop community spaces that positively impact community safety. We work with, and this is again from a West Midlands perspective, but we've delivered programmes of work with the local active partners, so helping local people to become more active in their communities, physically active, so Think Active, Sport Birmingham, and other grant givers and foundations across the region and across the country too. And it's not just funding that we work with partners on and kind of public sector contracts. All partners can contribute in a variety of ways. So that could be donating materials, volunteers, and particularly progression pathways for our young people, because that is essentially the North Star of VIY, is helping young people to progress both into the construction industry. Clearly, that's kind of a key objective for us, is to boost the construction skills gap and play our part to do so. But also help them maybe back into mainstream education, maybe back into further training in the industry or otherwise. So yeah, that's a little bit about our partnership model, but all of our work is delivered in collaboration and delivering on the goals and the aims of the places that we're working with and also the partners that we're working with as well. Next slide, please. So yeah, here, again, a big, obviously, word of the conference has been impact, and all about how we share impact, how we report impact, how we tell the story of our impact. Again, obviously my bag that I love in the comms and partnerships role here. And this is just a snippet of some of the impacts that we record and measure as part of our community projects that we deliver. So from a places and spaces perspective, again, just some of the stats from our impact report from this year. VIY as an organisation has been going since 2011, but I would say we've really ramped up in the last few years, particularly working with public sector and local authorities and council, which has allowed us to expand our reach and impact across the country. So these are some of the things that we measure with the community spaces that we work with. And we really work in partnership with those community organisations and those community spaces that run and operate such vital services for the local community. So that could be anything from grassroots sports clubs, local community centres, youth centres, live music venues, outdoor green spaces, supported housing, all of those spaces that needs a little bit of help, a little maintenance, TLC, to help them survive and thrive, to help them welcome new audiences, to boost their financial sustainability, to keep them going, to deliver those vital services that they deliver for the community, also for the young people that we work with as well in many cases too. Next slide, please. And likewise, of course, we measure impact for the young people as well. You can probably see from this presentation so far that we were a real win-win model, so both for young people and for places and spaces as well, and communities. So I mentioned that we work with NEET and at-risk young people, so those people that are furthest from the job market. And as these stats, again, these are just a snippet of some of the measurements that we record. It's not just about those hands-on skills that the young people gain from the experience, which is a really hands-on, bite-sized experience. The young people are doing the majority of the work on the community projects, guided and working alongside our trade mentors, but also those soft skills, the confidence, the hopes and aspirations, the appetite to work in the construction industry, the confidence in getting a job. And when we're talking about the NEET young people who are furthest from the job market, some of these factors are super important, and the feedback that we get from both the youth referral partners that we work with, but also the young people themselves, it's a real life-changing experience. So it's an absolute privilege to be able to deliver this. And as I mentioned, the North Star for us is really helping young people into positive progression pathways. So that's something that we're really focused on moving forwards, and what's really exciting about working with the likes of Morgan Sindall and others in the construction industry to really drive that impact forward. I think I've just got one slide left, and then I'll hand over to Andy. So this was just a snippet of our kind of collaborative approach across the West Midlands and all the different partners that we're working with over the last few years, and the way that works in terms of delivering different programmes of work with different partners. we're really excited. We're going to be delivering we're one of the Youth Trailblazer delivery partners for Birmingham City Council's Youth Trailblazer, as well as Walsall and Dudley as well. So really kind of delivering on one of the government missions there. Again, our social value model and the way that we deliver as a social value delivery partner, we hit all of those 5 government missions. So it's really exciting to be zeroing in on the Youth Trailblazer as well. I'm going to hand over to Andy now, who's going to talk a bit about our collaboration in the West Midlands and beyond.
Thanks, Hannah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Clayton, Social Value Manager for Morgan Sindall Construction in the Midlands. At Morgan Sindall, we really strive to contribute to a future-built environment where people and nature thrive through the projects we deliver. Our collaborative partnership with VIY is a key part of that journey, enabling us to deliver meaningful social value whilst advancing our social, economic and environmental ambitions. Collaborating with VIY helps us to achieve our social value goals in a number of ways. Firstly, by delivering community transformation projects. Our most recent example is the Treasury in Mansfield, a much loved hub for everything from scouts to dance groups, messy church, local youth groups, but the building had seen much better days, large areas out of action, clutter piling up, energy bills on the rise. We engaged with VIY and the project delivered real impact, improving energy efficiency, helping them to reopen their community cafe, fitting new toilets, and giving the space a full refresh, boosting its usage in the local community. We ultimately seek to deliver initiatives that create lasting legacies in the local communities in which we work, and this is really an exceptional way for us to help deliver that. Next slide, please. Secondly, VIY helps us with youth skills development, a critical priority here in the West Midlands, as well as helping to address the skills shortage within construction. Many young people face barriers such as low aspirations, limited access to work experience, and lack of clear pathways into employment. By engaging young people in the hands-on training and mentoring, VIY really helps us to bridge that gap. At the Treasury, for example, 25 young people aged 14 to 18 took part. 18 achieved a level 1 environmental awareness and sustainability in construction qualification, and 21 earned entry level 3 City and Guilds accreditations. One standout example was Toby, pictured there on the right. He gained multiple qualifications through the project, and thanks to VIY support, went on to secure a painting and decorating apprenticeship with the Bell Group. Next slide, please. Another really important benefit of collaborating with VIY is their ability for us to better support disadvantaged young people more effectively. These groups can often be difficult for us to reach through traditional engagement methods, but VIY really helps us to bridge that gap through mentoring and inclusive sort of project design. At the Treasury, 32% of the volunteers had a physical disability, mental health condition, or learning difficulty, and 16% had SEN support. So really wonderful that they were able to create an environment that can support those groups as everyone. Next slide, please. And finally, VIY's offer also includes progression tracking and measurement of well-being. It really helps us understand sort of the real impact of our investment. At the Treasury, 100% of the learners said they felt more confident about getting a job in the future, and 88% reported an improvement in their overall happiness and well-being. Really vital outcomes, and ultimately helps us capture the sort of human impact of our collaboration, not just the monetization. Next slide, please. So Carol alluded to it earlier. Sorry, next slide, please. Good stuff. So in 2025, we're launching the Constructing West Midlands Framework Annual Social Value Initiative. So the idea was to bring together all of the Constructing West Midlands Framework contractor partners to collaborate and support a West Midlands community group of the group's choice. So together we chose to partner with VIY to deliver a project at the Conagry Youth Arts Centre in Tipton, Sandwell. So partners supported include Morgan Sindall Construction, Wilmot Dixon, Galliford Try, Speller Metcalfe, Seddon and Interclass. Next slide, please. So the Conagry is a vibrant hub run by Sandwell Youth Services. It offers young people access to live music, recording studios, drama workshops, event planning. I think they even do things like circus skills and things like that. But ultimately, youth workers use those creative outlets to build relationships and support the young people through their challenges using the services. Next slide, please. So a really wonderful service that the centre offers. We also conducted a local needs analysis and found that the centre sits in an area of extremely high deprivation. As you can see in the graph, the local radius has significantly higher deprivation levels compared to Sandwell, as well as the national average, which really reinforced the importance of us sort of investing in this community. Next slide, please. We also found that nearly 32% of the local population have no qualifications in that area as well. So again, really clear opportunity for us to deliver a VIY project that not only improves the facility, but also boosts skills and aspirations among the local young people. Next slide, please. So the centre's professional music studio, fantastic resource for engaging young people, but it's currently oversubscribed. There's an adjacent room which is currently underutilized and effectively could be transformed into an extension of the studio, and then some areas of the building's frontage also needs a bit of a refresh. Next slide, please. So therefore, we've been collaborating with VIY as a group, and we've came up with the following proposal. So we're going to be delivering a 3-week refurbishment project starting on the 3rd of November 2025, so just in a couple of weeks' time, funded through a £25,000 investment split between 6 of the CWM contractor partners. The project will extend the centre's music studio as well as helping refresh the building. CWM is also really committed to supporting the Care Leaver Covenant. So again, it was really important that we embedded sort of experience for care experience young people in this initiative. So we've been collaborating with the Care Leaver Covenant, of which VIY are a partner, to ensure that they benefit as well from this experience. And my final slide, if you can move on to the last one. Ultimately, another fantastic opportunity to support local young people whilst improving a vital community space. In terms of collaboration, it's been brilliant to see 6 often competing contractor partners all working together alongside CWM and the local authorities to really maximise the impact of the scheme. We've been sort of linking up VIY with our local supply chains, for example, Eclipse, who are going to be doing some painting and decorating work. There's Paradigm, who's going to be doing some electrical work for them, and companies like Target, who are donating flooring. So huge thanks to those organisations. That's it for me. We're really excited to commence in a few weeks' time. Keep your eyes peeled on the socials for some updates, and we're hoping this will become a bit of a catalyst to inspire future collaborative projects.
Thanks, Andy and Hannah. I'm so excited about that project because it just shows that even competitors can collaborate together and work with an organisation like VIY to get a big project like that done together. It's great. So unfortunately, we are sort of running out of time. We've only got 2 minutes left, but the top voted Q&A is from Laura Giddens. So I think if we go and try and answer that question first. So collaboration is the engine of social value. What's the one bold action we all need to take together in the next 12 months to turn good intentions into measurable, life-changing outcomes in the West Midlands? Should we just do like a quick answer each on that? Who wants to go first?
I don't mind jumping in. I think sort of building on the last point I mentioned, it's breaking down those competitive silos, co-invest in shared social value outcomes, and don't be afraid to work with your so-called competitors to make a bigger impact.
I agree, Andy. I would say, and following the example of Carol and Jared and their social value network, I think it's about working together to achieve best practice, best social value. I'm always of the opinion, particularly in the construction industry, that we're never going to solve big thing like the skills gap by working in silo, by not working with competitors. So I always think working together is better than working by yourself.
Definitely. Jared, Nadia, do you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to.
Oh, go ahead, Nadia. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to add as well that anything is better. Doing something is always better than nothing, and that small changes make big differences. So if anybody's sort of holding back from doing anything because they don't think it's big enough, if everybody just does something, then collaboratively, that is where the big change starts to happen.
Brilliant. Jared?
Just quickly from me, obviously public sector devolution is a big topic at the minute. So just making sure that social value stays at the forefront. Like I said, it's unusual to have social value in your job title, and yet Lichfield Council has now said the investment versus the return has been a no-brainer. They don't know why they didn't come up with that role sooner. So just making sure that we work together as bodies in the West Midlands to highlight how valuable it is to have this role, and to make sure that we're all supporting one another to make sure it stays an important role.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, guys. It's been a great session. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. Sorry we've run over by a minute, Guy, but I'll hand over to Guy to do his wrap-up of the day.
Great. We're just hi. We're live. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm here sitting with Angela, who's rushed down from a hotel room because the hotel internet isn't working aloft, bizarrely, but east side is. So she's rushed in here and we're going to do this together, sitting in front of each other. So all good. Angela's just catching her breath. She's not only rushed down from a hotel room, she's also rushed down from Scotland. And as a result, wasn't able to see everything. So what we're going to do here is just reflect on the past couple of days. And Angela's going to reflect on day one and I'll reflect on day two. But before we do that, I've got some really interesting statistics. And with all statistics, they tell a story. But I'm just going to talk you through a few of those. 31 different sessions, which is just amazing over the past 2 days. The biggest session, which was opening yesterday, which Angela will talk about in just a moment with the leader from Rotherham Council, Councillor Reid, was 720 people, which is fantastic. And we had just shy of that, 650 people in our opening session today. The average attendance was 200 people, which is absolutely fantastic, right? And the smallest attendance was just shy of 80, I think it was. We had a lot less last year. But here's the number to tickle your noodles, so to speak. Last year we had in total over the 3 days around about 2,500 sort of touches, if you like, already so far. If you look at everything that everyone's attended and just calculate the total number of people who've attended different sessions. This is not individual people. These are total sessions attended and watches, if you like. It's 6,500, which is just incredible. So 6,500 sort of touches. Some of those are the same people, obviously, but that's the sort of, that I think is a reflection on just how exciting and how much this has changed just in 12 months. I mean, as I said, about 2,500 last year, 6,500 this year, and we haven't even gone into day 3. So what about that? And we've had people jump in from all over the world. Of course, as you'd expect, UK, Ireland, but this morning, Australia, we have Hong Kong, Canada, USA, Germany, Denmark, all sorts of the world, and I'll give you more numbers. But look, we're just going to reflect, myself and Angela, just on the past couple of days and just think about what tomorrow brings. So Angela, just talk to me a bit about day one when you were sort of focused and listening and watching. What did you spot on day one that really you thought is worthy mentioning just here?
Thank you, Guy. Well, first of all, those stats are absolutely incredible. When I think back to the early days of setting up the conference, there was maybe 2 handfuls of us in a room. So fast forwarding to today, to hear we've had over 6,000 touch points is absolutely incredible. So what have I kind of taken away from the last couple of days, albeit today was a travel challenge? But yesterday, I think the kick-off session was amazing. Truthfully, I probably went into it with a little bit of scepticism.
Yeah, really,
I'm
agree.
sure a lot of us did. But to hear cross-party councillors speaking so passionately, authentically, but actually with key ambition.
That
I found
yeah,
that
and we had, who did we have there? We had Labour,
Liberal Democrats, we had Reform, we had Conservative, Green Party.
Green,
It was just amazing. And I almost had to pinch myself. Are we actually listening to councillors? So in particular, I think Rotherham, the kick-off and what they're doing in that town is absolutely incredible. But what we've also got to remember is that's happening countrywide. And that's where a conference like this year reminds businesses about the role that we've got to play. It's not just for councils to take the initiative around place-based development, but actually getting businesses involved. So for me, go for it.
And just I think there's one phrase that came out yesterday, and that for me, which is a kind of phrase of the Marines, actually. It's like, but no one left behind.
No one left behind. Thank you.
Like, do you know what? I thought that was, and quite a few people used it. No one left behind, and that I think is so important about the movement that we're building. I've seen it today and yesterday. Is that no one can be left. This is about raising the tide across everyone, which is really important.
And that's quite pertinent, given we've had the Four Nations session today as well. Because in Scotland, we talk about no one left behind, particularly in terms of children.
I didn't know that.
So in terms of child poverty, etc., in education, we talk about no child should be left behind. So the very fact that that's now resonating much broader, I'm absolutely delighted. And that probably brings me on to some of the kind of key takeaways that I've had that hopefully we'll go into a bit more detail when we do the fireside chat tomorrow. But talent comes from all walks of life. So whether we're speaking about NEET yesterday or those with convictions, there was a recognition that talent, was in every inch of every community that we all operate, and we've got to be really mindful. But what I did pick up from yesterday was the varying degrees of maturity of folks on the call.
Yes, that was interesting, wasn't it?
I found it really quite startling. I never felt it as much last year. This year, it really resonated with me, the amount of people that said, this is my first conference, I'm new into a social value role. And what was really encouraging in the chat, it was lots of advice about who to reach out to. So from a maturity point of view, let's not forget that while some of us are old-timers, dare I say you and I, Guy, some of us are old-timers, but actually there's a lot of folks that have joined over the last 2 days and hopefully are joining us in person here in Birmingham tomorrow, that let's open our arms.
So that networking piece, I think,
critical.
is
it's
really
absolutely
important.
critical.
There was something that was brought up today by Katrina Browning, actually, in our session on VC FSE, so voluntary community, faith, social enterprise, and she spoke about perpetual education. She was in particular talking about the voluntary sector and the myriad of organizations. She said, look, there's new voluntary organizations popping up all of the time. And we can't just think we educate once. It is perpetual education, perpetual capability building and capacity building. So that word perpetual is, and as you and I, as you said, old hands at it, we think we can't keep on. Surely people can get bored about, but of course new people are joining. And if we're growing a movement, which we are growing, we've got to recognise people are joining.
We've got to take people with us, 100%.
That I think is really
100%.
important.
The other thing, so not just the varying degrees of maturity, but what I'm probably most excited about, what I heard yesterday, was on many occasions the word love come up. I love that, but love come up, not just in the session with convictions, but it was about young people. It cut across a lot of them. People were talking more openly about love, and we don't mean in the romantic sense, but they were correlating love to kindness and acts of kindness, and how businesses more than ever before recognise being kind is actually a very smart way of growing your business. Growing your productivity, but also growing the level of talent, the diversity of talent coming into your business. And what better way to do that through the impact, through the optics of social value and impact.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, and that kind of ties us into today, which is interesting. We had a panel today that was chaired by Leo that was looking at business, and there was actually a link between love, kindness, linking to business. You know, just making that link between business, which I think is so important. And love is not a term we normally use in business, but it is something, pride, that other term that I think is really important. We opened up today at 7:45 for those of you who were online, and we sort of dialed in Australia, which was fantastic. And we were absolutely so lucky to have Dr. Paul Callaghan, who's an elder, Aboriginal elder, and he's written a number of books. He's also run a business of 1,200 people. So he speaks with immense experience, but also he comes at it cultural. So he's opened up with an acknowledgement. We had this conversation around future generations and how we talk about impact, right? And we kind of talk about impact as sort of within our time sort of stuff. So you create a job for someone and they get a better job. They earn more money and their family's happy. And our sense of impact kind of stops there, right? Actually, what really occurred to me today is we need to think about this future generations piece, at least 3 or 4 or 5 generations. And Taylor Hawkins, who's on the call this moment, spoke about the fact that in many businesses now, there are 5 generations of people working. And you think that, wow, that is kind of, because people can work until they're 70, 80, which means, and some people start at 18, right? 16 even. And there's all those generations. So I think cascading that, so when we talk about impact, I think we're going to have to talk about from now on generational impact, not just 1 or 2 people down the line. I think that's really important. That was something that came today. I mean, for the first time, we've had the awards present, you know, what they've done, rather than just a short, they've actually presented what they've done. And we had the awards today. And I don't remember last year, the award, which was the SME award, VCSE, which were the refugees. So this was, so we had Sahan Cares is the name of the organisation. And they're doing some amazing stuff. But what he said was, I just thought this just brought that future generation bit. So he's found jobs for refugees. He's a refugee himself in the care sector. So it links older carers, refugees with older people, that older generations. But as a result of one particular mother getting a job as a refugee with him, her daughter has gone to Oxford University. And her daughter now is qualified. And so this is like the generational, you know, and that for me is kind of just so reminding ourselves that whilst all the values we talk about and all that sort of stuff is important, it's ultimately all about people, place, and planet, right?
Totally agree. And in the social value world, I've got a number of catchphrases that, for those that know me, when I talk about so what, less is more, all of this good stuff. But particularly for colleagues that are coming into this quite new, people look at social value and think it's like the dark arts. And they'll say to me very often, just simplify it, almost give me your elevator pitch. So when I talk about values, the stuff that we do, but most importantly, it's the impact. What do you mean by impact? And I always say legacy.
Yeah, legacy.
Legacy.
And the question is, how long is that legacy, right? What's the time frame?
And sometimes you can only think so far ahead.
Yeah, I know.
However, it'll change depending on what type of business you're involved in or what role that you've got. But all I would ever ask is think about the longest lasting legacy you can leave in terms of the actions that you take. And that's impact.
So final minute or 2, we might drift on it just tomorrow. What are you really looking forward to tomorrow, Angela?
The energy in the room. Because whilst the last 2 days has been amazing, there's been great conversations, particularly the chat. I've never seen the chat so busy as what it's been the last 2 days. But the energy when we get into the room in terms of uplifting people, looking people in the white of the eyes, making those new connections, seeing the old faces. But there's a real buzz, I think, when we get sitting together, whether it's through panel sessions, through networking, or just grabbing a bite to eat. For me, tomorrow is around also making those connections. But my big ask is for those that are joining us tomorrow, make the connections, but do something with the
Yeah,
connections.
that came out.
Because we've talked about collaboration quite a lot, and you know, we kind of sigh. It's call to action, because last year was social value in action. This year it's mission critical, and the only way we can achieve those missions is by actually acting on the networks and connections that we make. So that's what I'm really excited about tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited.
100%.
I have to admit, I'm nervous as well. Well,
You're nervous?
I might not come.
Really?
I'm like that sort of. I'm going to call myself a beautiful swan. And like,
handsome
okay,
swan,
handsome swan. But I'm slightly nervous because it's a big event. We've got about 500, 600 people coming to the day. And I don't know how many people go online, probably at least another 500, if not 1,000, watching live streaming. And then, of course, in the evening, we've got all of our awards. And we have the awards started out, well, we started the awards, I don't know, a few years ago, but we've got 450 people coming to the award ceremony, which is incredible. So I am slightly nervous because I've got to get through the whole day. But what I do know, Angela, is that we are all amongst friends. And there is no need to be nervous about these. At least this is what I tell myself. So look, I am so excited about this. First 2 days has been totally and utterly incredible, absolutely amazing. Tomorrow is going to be an even more incredible day. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And with that, we're going to say thank you very much for the first 2 days. Thank you from me, and thank you from
Angela.
I'm trying to do the two, honestly. It didn't quite work. We didn't practice, did we? But anyway, thank you very much for attending the past 2 days. And if you don't have an in-person ticket, please join tomorrow. Everything is live streamed. You'll see the opening speeches, the opening panels. You'll then be able to choose which session you join. Everything's live streamed, and then you can also just feel as though you're there and join in the conversation. So thanks very much for joining us over the past 2 days, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.